Hi, good morning. This is Jesse from Resurva. Today I want to show you how you can set up your bike shop or your fit studio to do one-on-one bike fittings. And I also want to show you how you can do set yourself up for classes. So if you have a different part of your shop that you do indoor training, Resurva is a great tool to manage that. So let's get into it. First thing I've done is gone to resurva.com and just click sign up for my trial, and this is the screen that I've got. So as you can see, super simple, getting started, just 4 fields. I've already gone ahead and filled these out, and I've set up the initial account. So let's get into that. This is the first setup screen that you'll see. You're just putting in your location information. We're based in Toronto, so I've gone in and filled that out. On the schedule, clients can book every 30 minutes. That just means that if you open, let's say at 9 a.m., that your clients will be able to book at 9, 9:30, 10, 10:30, etc. And my day, let's just say it starts at Monday. Again, you can change these at any point, but I'm just gonna leave them for now. So services screen. So this is where I'm going to set up all my services for my account. Right now I'm just going to start by adding in the bike fittings services, and you can see that we have service categories as well, which I will set up. So I'm going to start with my first service. Let's call that dynamic bike fit. So this is first service here. I'm going to make this let's call this an hour service, and the default cost will be $200. I'm going to save that, and I'm going to add another service. I'm going to have for new bike fit, for new bike fit. And I'm going to say that is also an hour. Let's call that an hour and a half. And let's make that $300. Save that out. And add a third service. I'm going to call this my follow-up and consulting. And I'm going to make that 45 minutes. And I'm going to charge $150 for that. Save that out. I am going to create a category for these services and just make them bike fitting services. And I'm going to keep going with this. So I'm going to make another category, first of all, for equipment. So equipment, that's not how you spell that. Equipment. And I'm just going to keep going with this. So wheels, save that out. Let's call that a 30-minute service and $75. Saddles, this will probably take a little bit longer. Let's call that an hour service, and we'll make that let's just keep them all at $75. I mean, you can change that at any point, but just to keep it simple for now, let's just make all of our equipment $75. Okay, so let's say cockpit, bars, stems, shifters, let's make that an hour as well, and we're going to stay with the $75. Okay, now to add your services to a category, you just click view, Nothing is highlighted right now, but all you need to do is click on the services that you want to add. Oops, sorry. Add or remove services. So I'm going to add these 3 services to my bike fitting category, and done. Equipment, I'm going to add the 3 other services, and done. Okay, I'm pretty happy with how this looks for now. I mean, I can always go in and fine tune my services, which I will do. I can add a description to them. I can change the duration or the cost. But for now, let's keep going with the setup. Okay, so here's our provider screen. These are the people that will be actually providing the service and the people that your customers will be booking with. So I've got a number of providers here that I'd like to input. I'm going to have some bike fit experts, and I'm also going to have some coaches for my indoor training. But yeah, so let's get started with that. I'm going to call my first provider John, and he's going to be a bike fit expert. John. I'm going to leave this for now, offers all services. This is where you can, well, how about let's show that. So he is doing the bike fits. For now, these are all related to bike fit. So I'm going to leave that checked off for all services. When we add our training services, that's where I will change which provider provides what service. So let's just keep going. I'm going to save John out here, add another, let's say equipment optimization expert, Sam. Okay, save that. Actually, here's a good example of how I would change this. So John is actually just the bike fit expert, so I'm going to make sure that he only does that. These are for equipment, so I'm just going to say that John does strictly bike fitting and Sam does strictly equipment. I mean, obviously, in certain situations you have providers that are offering all services, but for now I'm just going to separate them so you can see how that works. Continue. Actually, let's add another one. Let's go ahead and add our coaches now. Coach Greg. Save that out. Here we are on the schedule screen. So this is where you're going to set up your general hours for your business. Let's say that we're open every day except Sunday. And let's just leave it at 10 a.m. till 6, Monday to Friday. Saturdays, let's maybe start a bit later and end a bit earlier. So let's just change that to 11 to 5. Here's where you would add your provider schedule, or you would set that up initially. So here's yeah, let's set up John here. He can work. Let's make John work 6 days a week. He is the bike fit expert after all, so he's probably going to be in high demand. If you had more than one person doing bike fits, you could, set them up so that their schedules are a little bit easier. But okay, let's set up Sam here again, just to make things simple. Sam is going to work 6 days a week as well. If you wanted to change their starting time, so John is, he's not or he likes to get a ride in first thing in the morning, and he does not want to come in till, let's say, 11. This is where you would change that. So your shop could be open at 10, but John doesn't start till 11, so he would not be bookable on the schedule till 11. Assuming you sell product in your shop as well, that's where this would general hours would come in. Again, for let's change John's schedule here. Start time 11. Let's leave him Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He comes in at 10. Saturday he's 11 till 5. Okay, so Sam is on 6 days a week as well. And for Coach Greg, let's do coaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, let's continue with that. So this is the initial setup for your schedule. That's done. Just to recap here, we're doing Monday to Saturday. Shop is open 11 or 10 to 6 Monday to Friday, and then Saturday we're open 11 to 5. And we have a fit expert and a optimization expert on each day that we're open. And we have coaching Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Okay, so that's the initial setup. To make sure that you go online, just hit go online. That means that your customers can start to take bookings. So it's going to ask you to complete your contact information. I'm going to go ahead and do that now, just to run you through it. Let's just leave that number, or let's input. Okay, so this is our Toronto address. Again, this schedule, if I wanted to change that, I could do that here. And I can also do that in the settings, but I'm just going to leave that here, 30 minutes, and see where we're at. Okay, save that out. Now, if I wanted to see what my customers see, I would go ahead and open a new incognito window. If I'm logged into my admin screen and I try to see my Resurva slug, it's just going to show me my admin again. But if you want to see what your customers see, if you're doing testing or you're fine-tuning your setup, all you would do is open up a new incognito window, add your address here, and you can see what your customers see. So here I have two service categories: my bike fitting services. So I have my three services here, my duration of my services, and I can see that I'm available for booking that service Monday to Saturday. Let's see what's going on Wednesday. So because I haven't fine-tuned my coaching, he is available for that service. So that's a mistake on my part, but I'm going to show you how to change that as well. So if I wanted to get my bike fit by John, these are my start times, which we set up in the 30-minute interval. So let's go back here. So I'm still in bike fitting, and I'll show you what the equipment looks like. So same thing. Again, he's not available for equipment optimization, but Sam is, and you can see here that John is not available for that. Okay, so that's just how you check your customer view, and this is where you would send your customers to book. So it's the name of your business.resurva.com. You can also embed this widget into your website, so that you don't have to leave, your customers don't have to leave your website. And I'll show you how to do that as well. Okay, so if I wanted to fine tune some of my services here, or I wanted to, let's do that. So my services look good, my time duration looks good, and my cost, I'm happy with that. What I'm not happy with is who provides what service. So let's go to manage providers. John I've set up to only do bike fitting, and Sam is set up to only do the equipment. Now I left Greg as offer all services, which I need to change that. And here I just showed that I don't even have any indoor training set up. So Greg really doesn't have anything to check off on the provider or on the services. So let's go ahead and set up some services for indoor training. I'm going to call that indoor training. And I'm going to add my categories, or sorry, my services for that category. So let's call our first one high intensity training, sorry about that, for road cyclists. So this is going to be a 1.5 hour service, and this is going to be a bit cheaper because this is going to be the coach with let's say up to 15 riders at a time, just as an example. So let's say that this is a $20 service. So each class will be excuse me, $20. Save that out. Let's add another training service. So high intensity training for triathletes. Again, this will be, let's say this is an hour and a half. Let's call this 2 hours. And let's just keep all of our classes at $20. Keep it simple. And save this out. So I'm going to add those 2 classes to my indoor training category. And done, click done. So that should be set up. Now I'm going to go back to my providers and I'm going to uncheck. You can see that these new services have been added. I'm going to make sure Greg does not do any of the fit stuff and only does training. Okay. And I should probably add another provider as well, another coach. So let's make another coach, Coach Paula. No, she does not offer all services, but she does offer training. Save that out. Okay, let's go back to the schedule and let's put Paula on the schedule for Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays. Okay, I'm pretty happy with my setup now, but I'm just going to take another look at the customer view just to make sure that the service categories are set up the way I want them to. So let's do another quick test here. Okay, I've got my 3 service categories now. My indoor training looks like it's set up properly. Okay, yeah, so my coaches are set up. So I just tested Tuesday, and Paula was set up on the schedule for Tuesdays. So that looks good. Okay, it is looking a bit dull up here, and you can add your custom logo up there. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you go to Settings, Logo and Branding, your header image is your logo. So I've gone ahead and just created a quick logo here. A tagline is going to appear underneath your logo. Let's just upload the logo for now and see how that looks. Okay. Another quick check here. Okay, so that's looking a lot better. If you wanted to add a tagline, you could add it and it would be above your address here. One thing to note is to set up when you're setting up your location information, just make sure that you do it correctly, because that will be pulling in a link to maps here. So as long as your location information is correct, it will work for you. Okay, I'm just going to run through some of the basics in your app settings. Just a quick overview. We're in Canada, so our currency is Canadian dollars. And again, that is related to your location information. So if you were in the UK, for example, you could charge in euros or pounds, and that's dictated by your location information. First booking date, so that would be when people are able to book with you. If you wanted to limit your customers from booking 1 day in advance, so if you didn't want anyone booking same day, this is where you would set that up. This you could fine tune it to an hour in advance, 2 hours in advance. Really, it's up to you. You would just make sure that this is active. A variable date is what you would choose if you wanted that to change every day. So every day, if you set it up to, let's say, 1 day in advance from the current date, as long as it's set to active, then your customers couldn't book closer than a day to you. And every day that would change, so you'd get another day on your schedule. I'm going to just show you what that looks like. Show the first date, so that would just be I can only book, or that would show the first available date on your schedule. So let's save that out. Go back to our So today is Monday, as you can see today, and I'm not available to book. So that's how that first booking day works. My first booking day is Tuesday the 9th. If I was to change that to an hour, then the first, the hour from the current hour would not be available. I'm just going to leave that. Last booking day again, same concept. You would just, if you wanted to limit your schedule to, a month in advance. So if you wanted to change up your schedule every month, or you wanted to, you just didn't want people booking out, let's say, a year in advance, every Friday, all the prime spots in your indoor training, or you just didn't want them to be able to kind of book and then decide later that they didn't want to show up. That's what you would do. So I would change that to, let's say, 4 weeks in advance. 4 weeks to make it a variable date, so that takes today's date into consideration and changes it 4 weeks from today. So I'm going to save that out. Again, I'm going to do a quick test here. Should probably leave this tab open. So let's see how that works. If I wanted to go, so it's January 2018. Yeah, see, I can't even go to the next week, because that is cut off for me because of my last available booking day is 4 weeks in advance. So there's nothing into February. So basically, your customers would only be able to choose from this day, from this month. Okay, so let's go back to our setup here. Okay, last booking day, so that's been set up. Services, if you wanted to allow your customers to book more than one service, so if you wanted to do a bike fitting and a look at different equipment after, you would set that up to be enabled, and that just means that it can book more than one service at a time, as long as those two services are available. Show service costs in booking form, I'm going to check that off. It's nice, personally, I like to see how much things are going to cost in the booking form, so I'm going to check that off. If I wanted to hide the duration and just do, bike fitting, instead of showing 1 hour, it would just be blank. That's what I would check off. I'm gonna leave that on. I'm going to save out my show costs though. And enable group service management. is a big one for us because we want to be able to book our indoor training classes. So let's go ahead and enable that. What that is going to do is it's going to open up a new service category, or a new service management option here called group services. And so that's what we call our services that enable people to book more than one person per slot. I will be going into this group services management, but for now I'm just going to keep going through some of the app settings here. Okay, I think I was in services. Okay, so we set up we enabled our group service management, and we've shown the costs in the booking form. Let's go to our providers. Manage provider splits. This is for businesses that have a split system with their providers. That's how you would keep track of that. So if it's a 70-30 split with the business, this would give you your daily totals for that. Provider selection is allowed. In our case, we do want that for businesses that their customers don't necessarily have a specific person that they want to choose. This could apply to bike fitting if you don't know the bike fitter and you just want you assume that each person in the business will do the same job. You could uncheck that, and it would just it would be a random selection, or it would be based on priority in your providers list. I'm gonna keep that selected. I'm also going to show you how to add a bio to a provider. So that would give your customers like a little bit of a more personal connection to the provider, or just read about their history so that they know they're making the right choice. Bookings, we recommend force clients to log in. So what that means is that your clients would create a Resurva account, a one-time thing. And when your clients make their booking, they just need to log into their account at the final step, and just so you know that your clients are actual people. It helps with keeping track of no shows, and it's just best practice in our opinion. Forcing clients to select a provider. That doesn't really apply to us, but that would just mean that no preference button is gone, and they have to choose who they're going to book with. Actually, let's check that off. If you want each of your bookings to be approved by your administrators, that's what you would check off. It just adds an extra step to the process where your customers, after requesting the booking, would get an email saying their booking is being approved by an admin. It's not yet approved, and then you would have to approve it on the schedule. So I'm going to leave that off. It just adds an extra step. Some of our customers do want to do that, so that's why we have it there. Booking notifications to admins. So each time you get a booking, you would get a email sent to you notifying you of that booking, and same with the cancellation. So if somebody cancels their appointment, you would get an email about that as well. Maximum bookings per day doesn't really apply to us. I mean, someone is not going to book 3 bike fittings with you on a certain day. It's just a one-time thing, generally speaking. Next, openings for clients would just show the first screen in the booking process would be what are the business's next openings. I'm just going to leave that disabled for now. These are all just the booking process settings. So no preference bookings. So again, if the customer does not have a preference on who they're booking with, that would be allowed. The waiver agreement is something that you can add to your booking widget, where if you have a policy such as cancellations within in the 24-hour window require a 50% of payment, that's where they would have to agree to that before continuing on with their booking and finishing their booking. So it's just a thing that, even if it's like something small, like bring your own, in our case, bring your own shoes to your fitting, they would have to acknowledge that in the booking process. So it's just a nice way to get some information confirmed by the client, so that you can say, we told you about that up front. Include address, include address in booking notifications. That just has your business address in the emails that go out for the client. Show indicators for notes, new clients, and client group. That's just a visual, helpful little visual thing. I'm going to check that off. It just shows you on your schedule if a new client books with you. We have a little icon. And same thing if you want to add client notes to your client on the schedule. That's a way for you to track that, or for the schedule to show you that, hey, there's a note on this, please read it. Conversion tracking, you can add your Google Analytics property ID, so you can see where your bookings are going after, or coming from, I should say. Payments is a big one. If you wanted to charge for your services up front, you would have to set up a Stripe account. So our payment integration is with Stripe. I would just enable that. So you would have to set up a Stripe account. Like I said, it's a pretty simple, straightforward process. And then you could begin, once your Stripe account is connected to your Resurva account, you could set it up so that you could take either deposits for services, or you could charge 100%. So if you wanted to get payment up front, you could do that easily with Resurva. Private bookings. So if you wanted to have a client list of people that could book with you but aren't shown to the, let's say, call them the general public, then this is where you would set that up. In our case, that doesn't really apply. Client notes, I covered that briefly, but let's enable that. So that allows you to track, or not track, but input notes about a customer. So if you know that your customer, in our case, let's say that they've had some injuries, or there's something to note about their fit, that they've told you over the phone, let's say, or if they've met you on a ride and you've talked about something, that's where you would put that in. Invoicing, this generates a simple invoice for your client. That's up to you. You might have a different system in your shop set up for that, so I'm enabling that, just to have that option there. Detailed client information is for when your clients are booking with you. They would have to fill out their address before they could get their their booking confirmed. I'm going to leave that disabled, just because it's a preference thing. Some customers some of our customers like to have that information about their clients. In other cases, it's just not necessary for the service that they provide. I'm just going to leave that disabled. I don't remember if I save that. Let's save that. And the last thing is time settings. So again, the time slot length, that's 30 minutes. That changes up the interval of the booking. So yeah, that's just the on the booking widget, that's the time between bookings. Allow granular time manage or selection in 5-minute increments. So that's for admins. You could change a service from, let's say, 30 minutes to 35 minutes, 40 minutes, etc. I'm going to leave that off just because that doesn't apply to our business, but that is something that you could do. So yeah, that's a kind of a rundown of the general settings. What I do want to do is go into our providers and just show you how to add a bio and kind of fine tune the provider. So let's if you want to get into the menu for each provider, you'll see this three dots navigation here. Go ahead and click that and then just open up the settings. This is where you would add a bio. So for John, I have something written out here, I believe, and I'm just going to paste that in just to show you what that looks like. So first booking date for a provider, if you had somebody that was coming on to your business, starting with you as a bike fit person in, let's say, a month, this is where you would set that up. You wanted to get their their information into Resurva, but you didn't want people to be able to book. You would set up their first booking date here. Again, if you had somebody that was doing, let's say, a month, even internship or something, you could set up the start or first date and last date and just make them bookable for that time. If you wanted to hide them from the schedule or from the widget, that's where you would hide them. This is just for somebody that would only be bookable by the admin. So if you had somebody that was kind of somebody that could do everything at the shop but wasn't necessarily didn't want to be tied down with a schedule but was there consistently and could do everything, you could just set it up so that the admin could just add that service to their schedule. Private clients, if you wanted John to only be able to be booked by people that had a special code, this is where you would set that up. So if John, let's say, was just dealt with professional cyclists, and he wanted to give those people a code to book with him, like if he was a super busy provider and only wanted to work on those professionals fits or whatever the case may be, that's where you would set that up. So you would generate a code with them, and that could be given by John to his customers. Custom time slot length. So let's say you have somebody that needs to take a bit more time, somebody's just learning how to do stuff, and they just require a little bit more time. This is where you would customize that time slot length. So if they needed to be booked every 45 minutes instead of every 30 minutes, you could do that here. We have a waitlist feature, which is great. If you have a day that is fully booked and somebody still wanted to be notified of a cancellation, our waitlist feature takes care of that. It sends an email as soon as somebody cancels. It sends an email to the first person on the wait list, so that they're able to jump onto that time slot, and basically you just don't lose any business from cancellations. Some businesses just don't want the wait list, so we allow it by default. It's enabled. If you wanted to say John does not get a wait list, that's where you would change that. I'm going to save out his bio. status. If the person is not working that day and you wanted to have a statement saying like John only works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, then that's where you would add that. So if anytime the provider is grayed out on the widget, they would be notified of that. Status active, active. Again, if he was going on holiday for, you know, whatever, for a month, let's say, or for a week, you would just you would put that in there. If you wanted your provider to only be available for walk-ins, so if you had somebody, again, this would be like a special case where you have somebody at the shop that's, you know, kind of jack of all trades person, and you have a busy, you know, everyone else is busy, and a customer came into the shop, you know, was riding by and wanted to check you guys out and get a quick bike fit or get some advice on, let's say, you know, their wheel selection. You could make this person available only for walk-ins, so they're not bookable on the widget, but they are shown as a provider. Service options is pretty handy. So if you wanted to do a custom cost or custom duration for a specific service for that specific provider, this is where you would do that in your service options. So let's say John becomes, you know, super in demand and he needs to just charge a little bit more for his expertise. Let's say you could change the cost of that service specific to John for, let's just say, the dynamic bike fit. And if he takes a bit longer for his dynamic bike fit, or he takes a bit less time, then you could alter that duration here as well. So that's pretty handy. Breaks is you know, lunch break, or yeah, just basically any time you want to add a break to your schedule, you could do that on a consistent basis by setting up breaks, and you could make that consistent for, let's say, a week or forever, you know, forever, basically. You would do that in your breaks here. Images, that is for if you wanted to add an image for John so that people, again, it's just more of a personal touch. You could do that here. I don't have anything set up for that right now, but this is where you would add it and it would appear in your booking widget. Okay. I'm going to go through the schedule page. Schedule. So this is what your schedule looks like. Chances are you're going to have this open on an iPad in the shop, or your providers are going to have their own you know, own version of this on their phone or on a computer, whatever the case may be. In our experience, a lot of our shops will have like a shared iPad that so everyone that's working can you know, walk by at a glance and see what is coming up for the day or for you know upcoming day. So basically you can just go through your days here. You can see who's available, who's not available. You could add a appointment here. So John is only doing fit, so he's only available to add a dynamic bike fit. But here's where you could search for your clients. This is a fresh account, so there's no clients in. But if I just wanted to, you know, add somebody in, I could do that. I'm going to add myself in here just to show you what that looks like. Okay, and here is where you could, if you wanted them to get an email reminder or a text reminder, I'm just going to delete that, but you could add in an email there. And basically, if you check these off, they will get either an email reminder, text reminder, or both. So that's a pretty handy feature, and that's on when your customers are making a booking, they check that off themselves as well. So I'm just going to add that in so you can see it. So January 9th, that's tomorrow at 11 a.m. You can see that myself, Jesse, has a bike fit with John. You can see a lot here if you click on the appointment itself. If you wanted to check them in, so if you have somebody at the door that's greeting people, you could check them in your John would get a notification or a alert saying that Jesse has arrived. Get ready or come out and greet him, that kind of thing. You can add notes to the to the booking here. So Jesse is recovering from a knee injury. If they no-show, this is where you would basically set up, well, not set up, but you would mark that they're a no-show, and that goes on their on the client list as a no-show. So you can get a good sense of who your trustworthy client, not trustworthy, but reliable clients are. You can start to do that. If you wanted to discount their service, you could do that as well. Either dollar value or percentage. If you needed to edit the booking, either cancel it or move it, you could do that here. Yeah, you can do a lot here. This icon is to show which notifications were sent out for a particular booking. It's just a good way to track to make sure that people are getting their notifications. If I needed to cancel that, I would do that here. I can notify the client. Don't notify the client, or just don't cancel. I'm just not going to cancel that. If I wanted to move this booking, I can do that pretty easily. I'm going to move this to, so I click move, then I click my service, and I want to pick a new day. So I called into the shop and said, hey, I can't make it till 1 p.m. tomorrow, the 10th. I can do that by just moving that booking. Here, this shows me that these are the indicators. So there is a note attached to this booking because I just added one in as an admin. And the star represents a new client. Now, everyone at the start will be a new client, but as soon as they rebook with you, they become, the star will disappear. So if I wanted to look at that note, so you can see that there. It does show that I, as the admin, added that note. So that's a good way to see, to kind of keep on track of who is writing those notes regarding the clients. Yeah, so let's see what else you can do. If you need to tap on or off, like say, as John gets a phone call, he has to go to the dentist. He forgot about that. He needs to book off 3 p.m. He can do that quickly by just blocking that off the schedule. So what that does is it makes that 3 p.m. time slot unbookable by the customer. If you need to shut off a day quickly for somebody, you can do that as well by clicking edit day. And then if I'm in John right now, but if I wanted to turn that day off, I would have to do that. He does have a booking. So in order to do that, you're going to have to cancel that booking. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to leave that on and just cancel that. If you wanted to change the client name to the service name, you can do that. So you can see that there's a dynamic bike fit coming in at 1, and the customer is there as well. What I'd like to do now is show you how to set up your group services so that we can set up our indoor training sessions. So if you go to Manage Group Services, it's going to pull up the group services templating and schedule. The first thing you're going to do is create a new template, and we're going to name this this service. So let's call this sorry, I'm just trying to remember our service names here. So let's call it high intensity indoor training for road cyclists. By clicking allow clients to book more than one slot, pretty self-explanatory, but if you wanted to, as a customer, wanted to register you and a buddy, this would allow them to do that. This is our options for what displays in the widget. So in our case, I'm going to leave it as a session. You could do class or session. I guess either one of them is appropriate, but I'm just going to leave it as session. I'm going to put that it's $20 because that's what we set up those services as. And then if you wanted to add, you know, some time to clean up the studio, or, you know, do whatever you needed to do before or after, you could do that here by adding a gap. Because we're only doing one of those a day in our case, I'm just going to leave that because I will be cleaning it up, let's say at the end of the day, but it doesn't matter because our bookable sessions will be over. Here's where you would add your description for your class. So I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste something I had written. And if you wanted to add an image again, you could do that. I'm just going to leave that blank for now. So this is my first template. Now, if I wanted to add that to a day, I need to add that to the schedule. So the template's done, but nothing is available. So I'm going to add that to the schedule by, I don't remember which days we set these up for. I'm just going to say it's a Tuesday, and it starts, let's say it starts at 11 a.m. and it ends at 12:30. Those were an hour and a half, I believe. The slots is how many people can book in total. If you have a huge facility, I guess you would you could have up to 50 bikes, but it's pretty intimate here, so let's just say that there is a max of 10 people, and our provider is going to be Coach Paula because she is working on Tuesdays. So let's save that. And you can see on Tuesday at 11 till 12:30, we have our first indoor training session for road cyclists. Now, if I wanted to add that same class for a different coach, I would have to add that to, I believe, Monday. Let's say Monday the 15th. Let's say this starts at noon and ends at 1:30. Again, 10 people are able to book in there. And Coach Greg, because he works Monday, Wednesday, Friday, he is the available provider for that class. So let's add that. If you wanted to add that, I'm just going to go ahead and add that to Wednesday as well. And I'm just going to do that quick here. So same class, 10 slots, Coach Greg. Now, if I wanted to copy and paste this week, I'm happy with this. Well, actually, let's go ahead and just add another, kind of going at this backwards, but let's add a Tuesday. Let's just be consistent with our hours. And I chose Paula because she is the only coach available on Tuesdays. I'm going to add her to that day. Now, if I'm happy with the way this looks, again, you would probably add, your other days just to maximize that studio. But you can go ahead and copy that and paste it into the following week. And I'm done with that. I'm gonna go ahead and see what that looks like from a customer point of view. Just see what the booking process looks like. So I'm going to go ahead and go to my widget here. I'm going to just refresh it, new booking. You can see here that my class is, or my session I should say, is now on the schedule. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. It's got, you can see it's got the cost, the label, and the bio of the class. You can see here that it's only available on the days where we added it to our group services management schedule. So I'm just going to go ahead and make sure, yeah, so Coach Greg is the Monday, Wednesday, Friday guy. So he is the default, or not the default, we made sure that he was the instructor for that class. You can see here it's from 12 to 1:30 and it's a $20 cost for that class. So clicking that, you can see that I can book more than one person into that class at the same time. I won't go ahead and change that. It's just me for now, but you could see that we did allow for 10 slots. So, technically I could book out this for me and 10 of my training buddies, but I'm just going to leave that as one for now. This is just a confirmation of the booking details, so it shows me that this is in 7 days, the date and the time and the cost. And so this is where you would sign in with your Resurva account. I don't have that set up, but it's just a matter of signing into your account and then confirming your booking. If your customers are new with booking for you, they would sign up for their Resurva account using this button. But yeah, so that looks good. Let's just go back to our setup here. If you wanted to add a different class, you would just create a new template. Each class is basically a new template, so why don't I just go ahead and quickly do that. I'm going to call this the training for triathletes. I did have a quick bio here. Let me just find that. Okay. I'm going to add my description. This is going to be a 2-hour class, high intensity training for triathletes. I'm going to leave that checked off. Just a nice thing to be able to offer your clients, the ability to book you and a friend or whatever you want there. This is $20. We do not need a gap. I don't know why that was set to 2 hours, but yeah, that's fine. Our bio, again, save it out. And you can add that to the schedule. So let's go ahead and add it to Tuesday the 9th. Let's start that because we only have one coach for that day currently in our providers. Let's start that at 1 p.m. and end that at 3 p.m. And let's go ahead and bump that up to 15. Just why not? Coach Paula is again on Tuesdays, so let's save that. and you can see that your schedule for group services has been updated to a new class. So if I wanted to repeat that process, I would just add that to any day that I chose. I'll just leave it as is for now, but we can do a quick look here. So as you can see, the triathletes indoor training session has been added to the schedule. It's only available in that one day because that's all we added it to, but let's go ahead and just make sure that's working okay. Again, you can see it's been updated to 15 people. Yeah, so everything's looking good on that. So group services, yeah, great way to manage a class or a session. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Just make sure that your providers are set up to manage or to offer those services. I'll just quickly go over some of the other things here. We do offer a point of sale integration with Vend POS, so you could sell products and gift cards in your shop. I assume that most bike fitters would be offering a bunch of products. Now, if you're starting from scratch with a new business, yeah, you could use Vend. If you don't have anything set up, again, of course, you could use Vend for that. And we have a nice integration with them so that you could send all your services over to Vend as a parked order, and then you could continue your sale. There. So that is a great option. Your booking widget, this is where you would just add a little bit of customization if you wanted to embed it into your website. You could change the colors of the text and the buttons in the background. And it's just a really quick, it's a really easy way to add your widget. So basically you just tell it which website you want to host at or you want to embed it at, and Resurva provides the iframe code for you to do that. So if you have a Squarespace site, or a WordPress site or whatever it is, you could embed it there. Your notifications, you can customize what your booking notifications, what they say. This will pull in all the information that's related to the booking. So it's a good idea to leave the stuff in the curly brackets intact. But if you wanted to add a special message or, change it up, remove your cancellation link, or, whatever it is that you wanted to do, you could customize your notifications there, which is a pretty nice feature. Custom booking fields is if you wanted to just add a field that's not required to, I don't know, if you had an alert, or I can't think of something off the top of my head for this, but if you wanted to add a custom field where you could, just notify your client of something, you could do it there as well. I think that pretty much covers it. Analytics is nice. Because this is a new account, we're not going to see anything populated here, but you can get a nice overview of how Resurva is working for you, and as well just your bookings, your revenue, services, etc. So you can see what's working the best for you. So you can pretty much fine tune your business related to your online bookings. So yeah, that's a nice feature as well. We do have quite a nice clientless feature. Again, this is going to be pretty bare bones right now, but you can see there's only been one booking, which was just a test booking that I made as an admin. You can connect your Resurva account with MailChimp. So if you wanted to send out, email marketing to your customers, they could opt into your newsletter during the booking process. So that's a nice little feature. Another nice feature that we have is our client group feature. So if you wanted to set up you could have multiple groups of clients. In this example, I'll just call it, let's say, family and friends. And if you wanted to discount, family and friends, give them a discount every time they booked, you could do that. You could add them, let's leave it at percentage. You could add them to this client group and get that discount. So I've set that up. Now, because we don't really have any clients in here, it's going to be pretty empty. But if I wanted to go and just put myself on that group, I could do that here. So if you go to your client list, and then you'll see a drop down here. I'm going to add myself to that group. So pretty simple way to keep track of clients here. If I had no-showed this appointment and I had booked, or I had been marked as a no-show, this whole area would be marked red. Maybe I'll just go do that just to show you here. I'll go back to my schedule. I know that's in advance, but let's just mark them as a no-show. This becomes red, so you can see on your schedule. It's an easy way to see your no-show. And let's go back to my client list here, and you can see that this person here has no-showed. The benefit of doing this is if you have payments set up with Stripe, you can now make this person you can either block them from booking again, so that they're not able to, obviously, to make a booking with you, but you can also require payment from them. So you could just say, listen, I need 100% payment from you in order to book, because you no-showed and cost us that money. So this is where you would do that. And you can see notes here as well. I added that note to myself, but it shows up here. So this is a great little interface to keep track of clients here. And as it gets more populated, it's just a nice way to manage things. You can also do a booking search here. This is pretty great. Again, because it's a new account, there's not much to go on here, but if you wanted to, see which services were doing the most business for you, you could do a pretty broad search here, and see which providers, which services, in a certain date range, and you can export that to CSV files so that you could, import that into Excel or a spreadsheet application, and to further analyze your bookings. I think that pretty much covers it. Admin accounts is a big one. Sorry, I didn't cover that before, but in order for your providers to log into the admin account, you need to set them up as an admin. Now, everyone could share the same username and password, but we don't recommend doing that. It's just better if you set up an admin for each provider. That way you can also set up so that they get email notifications just for their bookings. So this is me here. Connected providers is where I would set it up so that I get an email every time there's a booking or a cancellation. Because I'm the main administrator and I don't have a provider, if I want to get an email every time, let's call them my employees, they get a booking or a cancellation, I could do that by clicking off this, and then I could either be selective or choose everyone. So, I'm going to get quite a few notifications. Assuming I'm a busy shop, I'm going to get kind of bombarded with emails here. But if I want to stay on top of it, I can do that here. And you would set up an admin for each of your providers. So if I wanted Coach Greg to be able to log in and receive emails, then I would do that by adding them as an admin account, and then going to connected providers. And you can also set up permissions for your admins. If you don't want them to have access to client information, you can do that as well. Because I'm the main admin here, I'm all access, which makes sense. But if you went ahead and did added another admin, you could see that you could limit their access. So logo and branding we covered, location information we covered, analytics. Yeah, I mean there's a lot there. There's a lot of you can fine tune your setup pretty nice. I'm just going into my services, just a quick overview. I don't think we covered this. You can add a different color for each service, so that if you have a busy schedule, you can get a nice little visual overview of what's coming in. And the more you use Resurva, the more accustomed you'll be to those colors. So if I set up my dynamic bike fit as green, for example, and I just walk by the iPad in the shop and I see 3 green time slots, I'll get used to knowing that that's a dynamic bike fit. You can add padding to the service before and after, just so if you need to break down your fit bike, or just kind of get, if you need 15 minutes to get set up for your next appointment, you can do that. So each service, each dynamic bike fit will have a 15-minute gap after padding after the appointment, and you can add that to the start of your appointment as well. This is where you would put a description in. So maybe I'll just do that just to show you what that looks like on the widget here. I'm just going to copy and paste something I have pre-written here. So if you wanted to show your clients that you offered that service, but it's not available for online booking, you could do that here as well. Yeah, so I'm just going to save this out, and I'm just going to quickly go to I'm going to refresh that. Bike fitting services. So this is where I added my bio for that service. So you can see that's where that appears. And I've done that for my group training. So that same idea there. I think that covers, again, this is where you would fine tune who offers what. If I, added a new provider, I would do it there. Options, you can have a service option. So say I wanted to, I don't know a good example for this particular service, but if you had an add-on service that you wanted to add, the opportunity for your client to add that to their dynamic bike fit, you would do that here. So I'm drawing blanks here, but you could add like a $10 extra, let's say, to that service, like a bike wash or something. That's probably a silly example, but yeah, that's where you would add that, and then it would appear in the when they chose dynamic bike fit as their service, they would have that $10 option. They could skip that or apply it to their fit. So that pretty much covers your basic setup. I think I covered the majority of what Resurva has to offer. Again, there's a lot you can do with it. If you do have any questions, or issues, we're always available for help. You can call our number, or we have a chat on our website, or yeah, just email support@resurva.com, and we're more than happy to help you out. So thank you for watching, and see you again.